Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining me in this video. Happy New Year to you. What is happening in Nigeria in this new year? Now, stay with me. Just about a week ago, the Niger president accused Nigeria of colluding with France to sponsor terrorists against neighboring countries. Australia is warning her citizens, do not visit Nigeria, boycott Nigeria because they are foreseeing that there are going to be civil unrest in Nigeria in this early 2025. And they are also telling their citizens that they are already kidnapping and so much terrorist attacks in Nigeria. So they are labeling Nigeria like a blackness now that people should not go. This is a very bad thing, but a lot of people will not understand what is actually going on. Now, Nigeria want to prove that they are still sovereign nation. In retaliation, you know what Nigeria did? Nigeria just published another news that through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that people should not visit Australia again. How can you tell people in hell not to go to heaven? How does it happen? You are seeing people in hell, you are telling them not to go to heaven. It doesn't happen that way. So you cannot be in hell, the fire is burning you, and someone will be telling you not to go to heaven. No, it is people in heaven they will tell not to go to hell. So if Nigeria is trying to flex muscle with Australia, that is the continuation of the diplomatic crackdown that you are going to witness early 2025, and it's going to be detrimental. Now, let us see what happened that is making Australia to tell their citizens not to visit Nigeria. So our reporters published this yesterday that Australia wants citizens to avoid travel to Nigeria, cites rising violence, terrorism risk. The article was written yesterday, being 31st day of December 2024. And here is the details. It says that the Australian government has issued a stark travel warning, urging its citizens to avoid Nigeria due to a volatile security environment marked by terrorism, kidnapping, and the potential outbreak of civil unrest. Mark that sentence, okay? Potential outbreak of civil unrest. Yesterday I told you people that because of what has been happening in Nigeria, we are going to see so many unrest from across the country from the beginning of this year. Now, the article continues, just left with two paragraphs. So in a statement released, the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DEF, advised citizens to reconsider traveling to Nigeria, citing widespread insecurity, alarming crime statistics. Do you remember Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, a government organization that published that citizens paid 2.2 trillion, highest in the whole world, 2.2 trillion to kidnappers. Now, apart from that, a lot of people that were killed, the number outnumber the number of people, even the number of people that have died in Ukraine, a war-ravaged country. The number of people that died in Nigeria 1 year outnumber the number of people that died in Ukraine. This is insane. And the chief of army staff have traveled to Qatar to tell them that foreigners are sponsoring the insecurity in the country. But that is a story for another day. Now, here is the last paragraph I want you to see in this article. It says, reconsider your need to travel to Nigeria overall due to the volatile security situation and threat of terrorism, kidnapping, volatile crime, and the risk of civil unrest. This is just an exact statement that the Canadian government made that angered Nigerian government. So Nigeria government, they are not happy with the situation that why would Australia tell their citizens not to visit Nigeria? But it's the same thing I'm saying, that we cannot continue to live in falsehood. We are living in falsehood, thinking that everything is fine, while everything is not fine. Now, let's see how Nigeria replied. Just a few hours after that, as I said before, so Nigeria want to flex muscle, right? Look at this, it's breaking. Nigeria issued travel advisory, caution citizens against visiting Australia amid surge of hate crimes. What is hate crimes? Look at Nigeria destroying her own self. Now, let's look at what the spokesperson to the Minister of Foreign Affairs said. It says, the Nigerian government has cautioned Nigerians against traveling to Australia over the prevailing security situation in some cities, resulting from rising cases of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. So they are saying that Muslims are being, hated or punished in Australia. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense advising Nigeria not to go because Australia asked their citizens not to visit Nigeria because we are in hell over here in Nigeria. We know what is going on. If Australia should said there will be a visa free for all Nigerians, believe me, that day Nigeria will be empty. But if Nigeria said there will be visa free for the whole Australia, nobody will dare visit Nigeria because of visa free. But Nigeria will be empty. Because, as I said before, people cannot live, heaven and stay in hell voluntarily. So we staying in Nigeria here is not a voluntary thing. It's just because so many of us have not seen a means to move out of the country. Okay? But there are still people who have the means to move. They decided to stay. Okay? Now, let's just take 2 articles from what the government of Nigeria said. It says, the government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, warned Nigerians planning to travel to Australia to take into cognizance of prevailing security situation in some cities of the country. In a statement issued on Tuesday by the acting spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimiebi Imomotimi Ebiemfa, the Nigerian government said the warning became imperative for Nigerian travelers and residents in Australia over reported cases of discrimination, harassment, and verbal abuse targeted at foreigners. Anyway, there is no verbal abuse in Nigeria that could be compared to what we are seeing in Australia or any part of the world. Nigerians are being treated like slaves in their country. These are the things we know. The earlier Nigeria reconsider in solving problems in their country, the better for them. Now, I want you to take your time and consider what the Chief of Army Staff went to Qatar to do. He traveled to Qatar to tell the whole world that foreigners are the one causing the insecurity. Take a listen.
I'm going to be attacked. You can protect me. Then I'll be giving you this amount of money or giving you this support and all these things. And in fact, some of them, if you talk to them, the communities now, they tell you, no, they are very friendly. Because what they do is that they try to show you they're better opponents to the government. They bring out money, pay you money, give you food, give you this. Say, no, I'm with you. I'm here to protect you. Better than your government. But it doesn't last. The romance doesn't last. After a while, they will show their true colors, and that's exactly what they did. Initially, again, when they came, they said they didn't have anything to do with Nigeria, that their problem was with Niger. So they were comfortable, and since their problem was with Niger, the locals felt comfortable with them. And when you come to ask them and say, no, there's nobody, we're all friends, they're all, because we share a very common border, like I said, with Niger, about 1,600 kilometers. Some houses, you see the sitting room is in Nigeria, the bedroom is in Niger. That is how close. We share common culture, tradition, religion together. So it makes it difficult even separating them. So even when you come as a visitor and you want to find out, they tell you, no, we're together, there's no problem. Until they started taxing them and they started killing them. That's when they now cried out. So efforts are being made now. Operations are ongoing to clear them up completely from the sovereign. And we're working together with Niger. Because normally, like I said, they don't respect any border. You come here, they move to the next country, and then when you leave, they come back. Now, we have 20 kilometers right of pursuit. The Nigerians are working together with us. So we're addressing it gradually. But like I said, it's a difficult operation because the only way you identify them is if you see them armed. Or else they're just like any other person. So if the villagers tell you they are our friends or they are our relations, what do you do? That's the difficulty in asymmetric warfare. But we're working on it, and then the intelligence agencies are equally down there following up the issue. On the issue of the IDPs and probably refugees, yes, psychological operations have been, we have psychologists. In the military we have, like everything, every space of life you have in the civil, we have in the military. It's just like in the civil, it's probably more, but in the military, small but very, very efficient. So even for our troops, because of post-traumatic stress disorder, we have for our troops, when they are before they go, we brief them. When they are leaving the theater, we also take them back and give them some psychological, because we don't want them to go back with that mindset back to the community. Sometimes they go back with a lot of rage because of what they've seen, what they've gone through. So we do that. Likewise, part of the de-radicalization program we're doing is we have the psychologists to also take part, apart from the religious leaders, because it's a holistic thing, and we know the importance of mental health issues again, and so those are the things that have been addressed quite very well. And the issue of the ratios of non-kinetics, well, the ratio, maybe you look at it from the level that at least now the rates of attacks have gone down. Communities are now resuming back to their communities, and not forcefully, like with the question from the IGP. Not at all. The communities, in fact, most communities are eager to return back to their villages. So one thing is that we must give the clear, working together with the government until we are sure that there is, because normally before they go back, we go back there with the government officials to ensure that infrastructure, at least to some level, is restored. There is water, some semblance of life before they are. And then we also, because of the use of IEDs, one of the greatest challenges we are having in the terror is the use of IEDs. So they are scattered all over. And probably some ammunitions too that were there that were not exploded. So we make sure that we go around, cleared all these areas, make sure that it's safe, and then with their own consent, they are transported back to these communities. There is no community in the world that is 100% free. So if we say we're looking for an ideal situation where it is no community is 100% free, but we make sure that at least to that extent that they are able to go back. And we've returned. Baga is fully back, Gudumbali is back, Kukawa is back. So we are taking them in gradually, steps by step, and we feel that's the best thing to do. Because again, leaving them in IDP camps, you are creating another problem. Now you're having a lot of rape cases, a lot of stealing, a lot of killings, all within the camps because they're so crowded. So easing them out gradually and taking them back to their communities has made it a lot easier. But again, with their consent, nobody's being forced into doing it. And then for the refugees, we're also working with, we have some of them in Niger, some in Cameroon, some in Chad. We're also working with them to bring them back gradually. And so I think the work is going on, and we will continue to do that. We believe the non-kinetic has a major role in what we're doing. The military, like I said, can only do so much. The government must be there to be held to account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. We can take another set of questions. I see a lady at the back.
Julie Daniels from Nigeria. You made mention of the NGOs being part of the people fueling insecurity, and then some landlords in the Northeast. So what measures has been put in place to make sure that this is taken care of or totally cope out? Thank you, sir.
All right, NGOs. Any other questions? Yes, General.
Thank you. It's Leon du Plessis. Professor Prinsloo, the risks of AI and cybersecurity. Whenever we put our strategy on the table and our war plans, there must be a risk, because in today's day and time, those will be put on computers, most probably also hard copies. If the army uses AI to refine their strategy and they put that into AI, what are the possibilities of their plans being exposed and put in the open when they use AI to either better or to even develop a strategic plan or a war plan?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, please.
I have another question. When can the terror groups in Borno be completely exterminated? When can the terror groups in Borno State be completely exterminated?
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any other? Otherwise, yes, please, sir.
Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the General and Professor Prinsloo for the brilliant presentations. My question goes to Professor Prinsloo, and it's about AI being used in diagnostics, health diagnostics. Experts believe that, the AI landscape is evolving. It's not, it has not yet matured, and they have security concerns. We know health is a very tricky situation. If people rely heavily on AI for health diagnostics, what are the dangers if we do not have sufficient safety protocols in place for enemies or terrorists using this data to, put people's lives at risk? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we can take one more and then we'll ask the panelists to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Nasir Mahazu. I'm the Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs in Katsina State. Well, in as much as I completely agree and with the presentation of the CDS, Musa, and also the step taken as well as the achievements made in fighting against the terror in Nigeria. But I can see that Northwest did not become so apparent, so clear in most of these fights against insecurity, taking into cognizance that the terror in the Northwest seems to be more devastating than now in the Northeast because of the way the terror groups operate. Now for Boko Haram, for clarity, Boko Haram are driven, their activities are driven by ideology. They believe in as if they are serving the Almighty. Well, conversely, in the Northwest, bandits are operating to steal from people. It's just a thievery. They don't have any ideology, they don't have any principle, they just want to steal. They decided to acquire arms, they decided to buy sophisticated weapons just to attack people and steal from them. Nothing more, nothing less. And again, from the psychological point of view, they are more afraid of being killed than the Boko Haram, because Boko Haram believes that when they die, they will enter Jannah, they will enter paradise. Well, these bandits, they knew very well that what they are doing is quite wrong. But the issue is this: they are continuously expanding. They are continuously expanding, and we are now, many states are engaging community policing into it. In Katsina State recently, we graduated the second batch of Community Watch Corps. Last year, October, another batch 1, came on board. Now the issue is, even if you fight them, the idea of these informers, the informants, as well as the community support, is seriously retarding fight against banditry. And unfortunately, there is one serious factor which I want as Chief of Defense Staff to answer. You see, since they have the idea of this firepower, bandits use AK-47. Well, the law of the land did not allow somebody that is not trained as a military or as a police officer to hold AK-47. And this is a community-driven crisis that can be addressed substantially by the members of the communities. In as much as the communities are trained and they know the enclaves of the bandit, and they don't have the power because they can only use pump action that ranges only 100 meters. Well, bandits are having AK-47 that has a range of about 400 meters. They will continue to deal with people even if people want to fight and protect their communities. What government is doing to address that problem, considering the fact that in the Boko Haram, hunters were given AK-47, and that's what honestly helped in addressing the problem of Boko Haram. So what is government doing now to make people to have access to that more advanced and more sophisticated weaponry, so that we will come to the, we will completely dislodge this bandit. Because in as much as we leave them, they will continue to expand. And that is a serious issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, yes,
I should
General.
respond? Okay, good. I'm very happy you brought up that question, and I'm really, really very happy because I know I didn't cover it. I wanted somebody to ask so I can actually dwell in it.
Thank you, sir.
Let's start from the beginning. How did we get to the banditry? If we tell ourselves the truth, what is going on in the Northwest is the Hausa-Fulani fight. You know, we don't mention it. That is the bottom line. The Fulani man feels anytime he comes to town, he's molested, he's killed. The Hausa man believes that the Fulani man, using his headsmen, enters his farm and destroys his crops. So it's been a long time, I'm sure you're aware, it's been a long time issue that had not been addressed. So it's a political issue that should have been settled before. It had been allowed until it evolved to what it is today. Now, acts of criminality now came in. When acts of criminality came in, they felt that now, because the borders, you know, I mentioned the issue of porous borders where weapons are moving in and out, and that's why they felt that, yes, since their cows are being attacked, they too should be protected. And that's why you see major of them carrying arms. And before you know it, those that didn't have cows started into acts of armed robbery, small stealing, until it graduated to what it is now. Then the Boko Haram, with the hit they got in the Northeast, a lot of them moved. So it's a convergence of criminality that has come together to build up to what the acts of banditry. And the only way they make money is what? Kidnapping. When they kidnap, they make money. Now, the state governments, yes, in order to address that, I personally support civilian JTF. We use them effectively in the Northeast. But how did we apply them in the Northwest? What we did, the communities were the ones that identified youths that had character, you know, that were reliable, that were honest. They brought out those names, gave the state government brought them in, profiled them with the police and the DSS, the State Security Service, and then they were now handed over to the military. They were trained with the mandate to protect their communities, not to go and attack any other person. Because one, the military, the armed forces, we are not many, we can't be everywhere. There is no country that have security forces everywhere. So their own intent is, the mandate for them is protect your community while the main forces are coming. So you delay them until that. And that's how we have used them. And frankly speaking, they've given us a lot of, because one, they know the areas very well. They know the area, they can tell you where IEDs are, which routes are clear and all this. And so we use that correct. But what we found out in the Northwest is a lot of this were not done. And the danger is, don't ever allow a training to be viewed, the perception of that using one ethnic group. Like I told you from beginning, the issues were Hausa, Fulani. Now, if you have civilian JTF that is only Hausa, what would the Fulani feel? He will feel threatened. And that is what is causing the problem. If you sit down now to look at in Katsina State, how many have been killed so far? Because one, they operate in Northeast, they operate with the security forces. There is no operation they don't go together. So the security forces will give them that experience and the tactics to use. In this other area, they want to go alone. And you know that they've started also vendetta, starting to also settle personal scores. So they've derailed from the main objective of protecting their communities to settling personal. Some of them now have started settling land issues, marital issues, things that are not part of what they are supposed to be, because again, they were not controlled. The civilian JTF in the Northeast knows if he commits an offense, he's going to face the law. So he is guided. So those are things that I think is important, that in the Northwest, go back and be able to do that. Dilute your groups. Don't make it one ethnic group, because if you do it, if you either take Fulani alone or you take Hausa alone, you are creating problem. Give everybody equal opportunity to be part. Once they have a sense of belonging, they take ownership of it. And it makes it a lot easier for you. So I think it's very, very important. And with the mandate, protect your communities. I think that's very critical. So if we're able to do that, I can assure you, you'll see it differently. And I've visited your governor not too long ago, and I'm happy the way he's going, approaching it. But the important thing that I think is missing is the aspect of cooperating together with the armed forces. We must work together because it's a common enemy we're dealing with. If you deal with them in isolation, you can't withstand because the experience and the practice of those civilian jets cannot withstand those guys. So I think that's very critical for us to be able to address. On the BHT, on the ideologies, let me see.
There was the issue of the NGOs. Yes.
NGOs, there are so many things. If we want to go into NGO issues, there are so many things I had. Initially, when the NGOs came in, when we started, they didn't want any oversight function. They didn't want us to know where they were going to. We had issues with that because now they will go into the enclave of the terrorists and go and treat them. You are treating the same people that is attacking the communities. You tell them no, that you are neutral. How neutral can you be? We've had situations where allegations of arms, them conveying arms just to make sure that the war continues. We've had situations where they will tell you they are taking food to communities. Halfway, they will tell you the trailer has broken down. By next morning, the trailer is empty. And that vehicle that is broken down, the driver will just go and drive it and take it back. So what had happened? You have funded those guys. You are taking care of them equally. We've had several situations like that. So we said, no, it can't continue like that. And that's why we insisted with the state government that, look, the state government must know what's going on. So if any NGO comes, it must be registered. We must monitor what's going on. We've had situations where NGOs will come in with unidentified individuals entering communities. You don't even know what they're doing. They don't have NGO ID cards. They are not part of the government. Who is taking them to? What are they going there for? And so by the time we start monitoring what they were doing, we noticed things started getting better. So which means something is going on somewhere. Because they come from all over the world and you don't know who is who. So that's why for every country, please regulate what the NGOs are doing, monitor what they're doing. Most times you hear them telling you that they spent $10 million and then you wonder where. Most times the money is spent on themselves, on their luxuries. The hotels they stay, the vehicles they are using, and all those things. The locals don't benefit much from them. And yet this thing keeps on. I've told you, somebody will come and pay for a house for 10 years ahead. So what is he trying to tell you? This thing will never end until after 10 years, or maybe he will renew it. And again, I always remember that if there is peace and the threat level is low, one, they are going to retrench them. Two, their hazard allowance will reduce. How many of them will want that? We're not saying all of them are bad. No, some are really doing very well. Some are extremely doing very well. But again, please don't just assume they're just monitor what's going on, monitor what's being spent. I think it's important. I think we've dealt with the issue.
There's the last one of extermination of the...
when is it going to end? Maybe I should ask you, when is criminality going to end? It's something that we have to live. No, the truth about it is just something that's the new world order. And it's everywhere. In America, how many killings are going on? It's all acts of terrorism. It's going to be in every country. It is your ability to mitigate, to deal with it in such a way that it does not affect the normal lives of the people. But acts of criminality will continue. That is for sure. Countries that have not had it, please don't allow it to start. Whatever it takes, once they start, please nib it immediately in the bud. It's very important. And what does it take? Monitoring. Monitoring is good. Law enforcement, legal system. These are areas that we are having a lot of challenges.